Yes, g'day punters. Welcome back to another huge edition of Watling. And speaking of huge editions of Watling, if you weren't one of those 6.2 thousand people who viewed the show last week, well, you'd be kicking yourself because it was a complete and utter fill-up. But to kick off, first up, Willoughby from Sky Racing. Be reading against the tab odds. How are you, mate?
Yes, good, guys. I thought it was 6.2 million that we got, actually. I don't know if it was in the thousands. I thought it was in the millions. It must be all those clickbait tips that's going out there to get people tuning in. So, no, it was a good one. It was a great Saturday of racing. The Cox Plate and the Spring Champion and, of course, the Manikato as well. But that was... I've never... Honestly, well, okay, no, I won't go that far. It's been a long time since I've seen a horse win a Group 1 with the style and the ease that horse did at Imperatrice. That was freakish stuff. And
Black Caviar.
Well, like
the way it won, it was Black Caviar-esque.
Yeah.
Group 1 stuff. She's clearly not Black Caviar.
No, not yet. But to go forward and do it this time and had to come from last in previous, right, just like absolute bomb-proof stuff. Cox Plate was great. Win of the week, I thought, was in the Spring Champion there in New South Wales. Tom Kitten, finally for the punters who managed to stick solid. That was a huge victory. Blew them out of the park. Good work to Adam Hieronymus as well, getting another one to his tally. But it was a great weekend, boys, and we'll keep it rolling into this Saturday, I'm sure.
Super stuff. And the man, the myth, the legend, DeanWatling.com. Also see him on SEN as well. He's everywhere. Racing.com. Best bets, fair income, mate. If you want horse racing tips, Dean Watling's your man. Absolute fill up last week. Dino, welcome.
Yeah, it's good to be back, boys. It was a weekend of good rides, good horses, and good races all round. So thoroughly enjoyed. And what we push on, Lou, what grand final week is it this week? Grand final week number 4.
Grand final number 48.
Yeah, that'll do.
It rolls on. Another big week. Plenty to cover into Cup week. It's a great week, but it's a week of attrition. You've got to sort of place yourself and rate yourself really well.
And speaking of not rating themselves well, Dean Watling, you've done a number on yourself on the weekend, so full credit to you and everyone else that had to put up with you. Now, fellas, Australian horse racing, what a place it's in. We've come through the Everest. We've now come through the Cox Plate. We've got the Derby, Oaks, and then a huge stakes day. And, Melbourne Cup, forgot about that. How's it sit for you guys? Obviously, we talked earlier in the year, the landscape wasn't great. I feel like the landscape's pretty good now.
Yeah, Dino, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. I think last year was a little bit of an inkling in the spring. Finally, Sydney and Melbourne sort of tying well into each other. And I think it's just gone on and found a couple of lengths again this spring. Like I said last week on the show, we had a brilliant Everest. It was the in the spotlight, and then it shifted to the Great Caulfield Cup. Then last week, I think we had a bit of both. We obviously had the spring champions, like Louis mentioned, plus the Cox Plate, Manikato. I just think it's tying in well, really well this year. And like you said, Gannon, we've got a big week now. We've got the Derby Day. We've got the Golden Eagle. Then we push on the Cup week. And yes, we might lose a little bit with Derby Day now because of the Golden Eagle. But then I think Flemington gets its spotlight in the last day. The Champions Day could be the best day. You got the stakes, the 16, the 2000, and the sprint race, Lou. So I think you're in a very good position. We all are as racing fans at the moment.
Yeah, it's been very good. You guys know I keep data and stuff on all the Group 1 and big race winners throughout the spring, and I was just going through them as you were talking then, and there's not many Group 1s across Victoria and New South Wales this spring that haven't been absolute stars. Like, even just in recent weeks, obviously a huge edition of the Everest, and then one of the Great Caulfield Cups we've seen, and then people calling that on Saturday one of the great Cox Plates they've ever seen, and that could be true as well. It was a ripper race, and then Imperatrice winning the Moira and the Manikato in such style, and so on and so forth, and those mile races in Sydney, the Epsom and the King Charles, they've just been top shelf editions. So it's been a really, really good spring. I think, as you mentioned, Dino, that the states are working together a bit more, which is always good to see, because in the end of the day, it's an entertainment industry. You've got to sell the product, and you do that better by working together sometimes. It's not to say don't have competition. Obviously, competition I think is great, and putting big races on the same day in different states, it's good for the theatre. Maybe I would say don't put big races in different states on the same day for the same horses. That is where it starts to fall apart, maybe. But a Cox Plate and a Spring Champion on the same day, I think is great, and that kind of stuff. So it's flying, and we can only get better, I think, still. But going really well.
Speaking of getting better, lads, so last week, hopefully we can get better than last week, because if we do, we can complete fill-up. But last week, Dino and yourself, Louis, missed the bright side. Oh, desperately unlucky. But who'd you tip on top? Romantic Warrior. So, lads, full credit to you both. Absolutely nailed it. I had Romantic Warrior on top, but King Colorado was my second pick. And, well, hey, if we were in a sweepstakes, I would have won twice. But
you know what this is going to be soon? A little six-pack just...
You're right there. Up you go. Oh, you're a shocker. But and Dino as well, SB owner Tom Kitten. So full credit to you. You absolutely dominated. Super stuff. Hopefully we can do it this week. This week we're going to cover off on the Coolmore Stud Stakes, the Empire Rose, the Penfolds. That's more Louis Willoughby's area. Penfolds, Victoria Derby, and the Golden Eagle. So it's going to be super. Let's get straight to it. Right of the week. Well, no point, Louis. I'll do this one for you. Craig Williams, Mr. Brightside. Well done, Craig. Super stuff. And Dino, give us a horse to follow before we go straight into the Penfolds Victoria Derby of 2023.
Anyone I want to follow is Skybird out of the Phillies race. I know she won. It's the obvious, but it sets up in a very, very exciting 1,000 guineas with Commemorative and Concur or Curve Volante. So Skybird for me, Gannon.
Well done. Yeah, that's great, Dino. The punters couldn't have found that without you. All right, let's go on to the Victorian Derby of 2023. Fair dinkum, sorry. Riff Rocket, your $2.60 favourite, courtesy of Tab, Pula, $5, Sunsets, $9, Madatsu. I'm not sure if Madatsu should be there, so just, be careful there, punters, because apparently it coughed its way around the 2,000 metres of the Spring Champion and needs a bet certificate. But that $11 again, Bear 12, Gates 12, and we're just going further and beyond to Cap Ferret 15. Louis, kick off here, the Derby for 2023, 2,500 metres. It's going to find out, probably separate some classy ones for some dour ones, and maybe the dour ones might get the job done. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's always a tricky race. As you boys know, that staying events are not my forte, and I don't tend to do a lot of video reviews or anything on them. So take what I tip here with, I guess, a grain of salt, because it isn't my wheelhouse. But the race has fallen away a little bit with Tom Kitten not going there, who I think would have given a real challenge to Riff Rocket at the top of the market. I think Riff Rocket should be hard enough to beat. They went last start. It couldn't have run home much quicker than it did, is what I'm trying to say, albeit it didn't get past the winner. There was not much more it could have done. Okay, everyone expected it to walk in at the $1.30 or whatever it was, but just the way with the race was run, I'm not sure that they could have done much more in that. I think it was still a good run. 2,500 metres, I think, looks okay for it. And based on the win prior there over the 1,800 metres, I think you're just not so much putting a pen through last start, but it was a good tune-up, and now to a grand final, I think it can be winning. The other one that I can be with at a better price at $11 is Ganbare or Ganbare, or however they're saying it, was in the Spring Champion on Saturday. I thought it stuck on pretty well through the line, and looking at its sectionals, they weren't too bad either, albeit it was blown out of the water by Tom Kitten. It didn't necessarily give the impression that it was fading late. I think it held itself through the line, and the sectionals, I think, backed that up as well. So 2,500 metres going forward in another slow race, and that Spring Champion was really fastly run. So now fast run stuck on back into slow run race, 2,500 metres on speed can often, I think, be a pretty good little recipe there. So at $11, I think you can do worse than have a spec each way on Ganbare. Dino?
Yeah, similar suggestions to you, Louis. I think Riff Rocket is the obvious, but I don't want to take $2.60 this far out in a 2,500 metre event for horses who haven't been there. That form obviously ties in through Sunsets and Apulia. I thought Vidal on the weekend was very, very good. First time he ever went to the front, they went incredibly hard, similar to the Spring Champions there, and he was just a shot duck late, and Apulia obviously come around him and tout him up. The query out of that is how he goes this week. Does he eat up? I'd love to see some reports from the stable, but he's big odds here compared to the horse that beat him on the weekend. So I'd have to lean the way Gannon or Vidal. I just think he's a big price. They probably won't ride him to lead on the weekend. If you get a suck running behind him, he brings that Griff form and brings the Guineas form as well. So I thought Verdad at the price was the one I wanted to be with.
Yep, I'm happy to be with Cap Ferret. I thought it was good enough. And you take Tom Kitten out of the race, he wins the Spring Champion. So that's more than good enough to get the job done here. Dino, do you have a thought?
He's got to be the best maiden in Australia, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, said that a while ago.
Just
can't get the job done.
You just think he's won a couple of races. He has.
Yeah. So look, you're getting $15, $4.60 a place. that's a really, really good bet, guys. So really keen Cat Foray in the Derby. Let's move on now we'll go the Empire. Empire Rose of 2023 there, and this is interesting. Market Hope in Your Heart $4.50, a Tissue $5, Princess Grace $8.50, Espiona $9. Not too sure about going there. Barbie's Fox 11, Life Lessons 11, Wishlaw Lass 11. Would have to be on a quick backup. We'll check that one. And Road to Arataki 11. Dino, kick us off for the Empire Rose of 2023.
Yeah, I doubt we'll see Espiona back up, but I guess we just wait and see if we hear anything this week. I think she'd be mighty hard to beat if she does go down there. We know she loves Flemington, but wait and see for that. I thought the market probably had the top two the wrong way around. I thought a Tissue, albeit was a little bit playing, got a long way back in the King Charles. Prior to that, was only a length or so off Espiona. I thought she's come back terrific, a Tissue, and if my memory serves me right, she won this race or won a similar race over the 1,600 metres down at Flemington last year. So we know she gets that way of going. We know she loves a long track where she can wind up. So I'd be more than happy to lean in the way of a Tissue. I like Open Heart Louis, but I just don't know how she's come back this prep. She was good first up, but she was flat second up. Just don't know where she's at.
Yep, I'm on Hope in Your Heart and Road to Arataki in futures. So I'll put that out there that I'm rooting for those two. And I still think they can win. I'm with you, Dino. The first up run, that's the whole reason I backed Hope in Your Heart in this race, because it was a huge return. She was really good late. And I thought, okay, she's in for a big prep. The two runs since, they're by no means bad, but they're just a little flat, especially that King Charles. You watch her last 50 metres, the race is over. So obviously they're not, flying, trying to throw it over the line. But, gee, I thought she was just getting really tired and really playing there late. So I was semi-surprised to see her show up as favourite. I was happy because I can, start to trade off a little bit and get a good position. But, I don't know about her. Road to Arataki, I'm on as well. It was a good win last start. The obvious concern is 1,600 metres. First time in a Group 1 to do it is going to be a training effort, but now's the right time to have a go. It'll go forward. It's got that good racing pattern, might be up on speed somewhere. The one I actually do want to have a bet on, Gannon, I don't know what price it was or if you even got to it, because I think it was a big price this morning when I had a look. It's Shuffle Dancer, who comes through that Tristark race that Road to Arataki won, flew home. Huge through the line.
$26.
How much?
26.
Perfect. $26. It was huge through the line, behind Road to Arataki. Outdoor Mile is definitely no concern for it, out of a good stable. And hopefully there's some speed on here, because it will probably, barrier dependent, I guess, but probably be midfield or behind. So I'll have to be running on. But they normally go fair enough in these events to allow horses to do that. So, yeah, Shuffle Dancer for me at a price, I think, is one to play each way here.
There you go. Well, Louis, you like Shuffle Dancer there. I'm with Call Dyer. I think she comes out of a race in the Tristark Group 2 that she probably should have won. A bit luckless, was definitely doing her best work. She's been out to 2,000 metres by Frankel, dry track, gets out to Flemington. I think it's just absolutely ideal. You're getting $26. Another great bet. I'm keen on her. I think she can win the race. Let's go to the Coolmore Stud Stakes of 2023 here. Remember, odds courtesy of Tab. Remember what you could be buying instead. Cylinder $4.50, King's Gambit $4.50, I'm Unstoppable $8, Osmosis $8, Shinzo $8, Stapati $11 for our mate Rick. Stratton Angel $13, so it's a big price. And further the rest. Dino, kick us off for the Coolmore Stud Stakes of 2023.
Yeah, it's a great race, and obviously Colts tend to head the market, but fillies do have an exceptional record. So punters, if you do like a filly in this race, don't be too shy to back them. I think it's as open as you'll ever see a Coolmore. I think the 3-year-old ranks, especially the sprinting ranks, are as even as they've ever been. So it's a hard one to dissect. I wouldn't be trying anything early in the shorter end of the market, your cylinders, your King Gambits, etc., just because I think they'll be similar prices come race day when we figure out barriers. I don't think anything's going to be a massive firmer in these markets. King's Gambit for me is the best horse, but do we trust him down the straight without a rail? I don't know if you can. I think he's the best horse and probably wins the race, Louis, but this far out, it's a race that I love, but it's the first edition that I probably don't have a strong opinion this far out.
Tell you what, if you're backing King's Gambit, you want to be on that track looking for any pieces of paper like fluttering around and getting them out of the way. This is a race. What a terrible comment this is. This is a race. Of course it is, but this is a serious race. And I can't wait for it. It's going to be a cracker. Talk about slow on a Monday morning. I was going through the Everest looking at sectionals and how horses ran there, and I went, oh, gee, in secret, what price hit for the Coolmore? Not forgetting that it won this race last year.
Goodness me.
But I'm gonna stick the Godolphin Blue can do it again. Cylinder. I think the Everest is the form line I want to be with here. I don't really like a few of those Caulfield Guineas horses coming back to 1,200 metres, albeit you can do it. I just want to steer away from them. So that's your Step Hardys, etc. So I'm gonna, Cylinder. I think, it is a weird setup, isn't it? To a strong now high pressure 1,200 back from that 1,600. Anyway, Cylinder. As mentioned, really good in the Everest. Got home well. That's the form line. Straight for the first time, I guess, is the little, not concern, but the niggle, the unknown. But I think it can be winning Cylinder. And the other one I might just have a nibble at. I think it's probably the form line. It's just a touch below a few of the top of these at the market. But Stretton Angel, who I was on in that Danehill over the 1,100 metres, was a really good win. And I think out to 1,200 metres can only be even better again. So so keen for the race. Yeah, it's going to be Cylinder and Stretton Angel for mine.
Yeah, great race. Cylinder clearly deserved favourite. King's Gambit probably just needs to prove it down the straight. Hopefully he avoids all the pieces of A4 paper this time round. But my bet at the moment and my all-in play, really simple, Don Corleone, Opie Boston's Book to Ride, which didn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence, given that I would have thought a few bigger name jockeys might have put their hand up for the ride. But I think the horse is just screaming out for 1,200 metres Flemington. I've been saying it for 3 or 4 weeks now. I think this is the grand final, and I think at $26, Don Corleone is a great each-way bet. It's about $26 and $7.50 the place. Just play it like on a 1x4 basis. I am keen. And Louis,
you might have upset some Kiwis there, saying that some bigger name jockeys than the great Owen Patrick Bossum might put their name up. He's not too bad, that bloke.
I reckon the Kiwis are pretty humble though. Like they'll get it. Like J-Mac is also Kiwi, and he's better than Opie Bossum. So anyway, look, if I've upset you, I apologise. Bad luck.
Spray me in the comments, please.
Just for a change. Like
actually,
honestly, Dino, before you say something stupid, what was your tip again? Just recapping.
I thought King's Gambit was on top.
Thank you. Please don't throw me under the bus. We've had enough of that this week.
No. I was going to say you make a really good point in jockeys. Regards to we've got the Golden Eagle in Sydney, so a lot of the big name jockeys are up there. So even Cylinder, who Louis, you're on Tim Clark's book. So he's obviously a great jockey, but his first time sitting on that horse. But you make a real point. Like in these races, jockeys are key. So
interesting.
Well done. Well, just got ourselves out of trouble there. Let's go to the Golden Eagle. This is a really, really good race worth $500 billion, I think, Louis. Great prize money, attracts good horses. Right. So full credit to PVL and Racing New South Wales. Amelia's Jewel on top as favourite here. Odds courtesy of Tab, $4.50. Hawaii 5-0 coming out of the Everest, $5. Kopalika, big push from .com, $6. Legato, $8. I'm going to go with, or I've actually got no idea how to pronounce the Japanese horse. I've looked at it once. I really should have looked at it 4 times. Lewis Willoughby, over to you.
Obam Buramai.
Good man. Attrition 13, Osipenko 13, Pericles 17, and Ruthless Dame. That's an easy one for me. $17. Lewis Willoughby, kick us off with the Golden Eagle.
Yes, so 4 runnings of this race so far, and the first 2 winners, Colding and Colette, came through the Epsom. The next 2 winners, I'm Thunderstruck and I Wish I Win, have come through the Toorak. So starting to build a little bit of a profile, perhaps the way that that's the way to look at it. In saying all that, though, I'm going to go with an Everest form line in Hawaii 5-0. I know that this race has been the target for the entire prep, even before an Everest run and an Everest slot. That was a great cherry on top, but for a fact, this horse has been set for this race since the very beginning. So I think it's going really well. It was good in that Everest. Prior to that, in the Premier Stakes, it had the meeting best last 200. It's clearly in a good vein of form. Out to 1,400 metres now is a yes for me, and it just needs to draw a barrier. It just has to try and, you can't try, but touching wood, fingers crossed. If you can just draw a barrier, I think it should be too hard to beat. I want to stay away from Amelia's Jewel, as I have done this prep 2 times for egg on my face, once for not, but there was issues. They've got the horse back. It'd be a pretty good training performance to get this back to top level and win, but stranger things have happened. And I haven't said to you guys, maybe that whole thing got played up a little bit, horse has flat run, didn't eat that much. Okay, it's not the end of the world, but still, you got to be, I think, going well to win this race. And I want to stick with my old mate Attrition, who comes through the Toorak. I think, okay, yes, obviously the Sydney form might be stronger, but we've just seen the last 2 winners have come through a Toorak. It isn't impossible. It can be a good form line. And Attrition owes me nothing, but gee, I'd love to get some more. So Hawaii 5-0 on Attrition for me in the Golden Eagle.
Do you know what you got for us?
I think Louis makes a good point with Hawaii 5-0. The best thing about that horse is its tactical versatility. The gate, yes, is crucial, but I don't think it has to lead. It can sort of sit in behind if it wants to. I think it was just a little bit flat staying at 1,200 metres second up in the Everest. I think up to 1,500 metres now he's bang on. The issue for me is, do I want to take that price? Probably short enough and probably starts maybe a touch shorter. I think Amelia's Jewel, yes, deserves to probably be favourite, but I'm not going to go anywhere near that price. I think in grand finals, you need a horse that's had a best prep and no interruptions, and just that last start effort, albeit it could have been overplayed, like you mentioned, Louis. That's just not a profile me. I love Kovalenka here. He was outstanding in the King Charles. His sectional tone from the back were phenomenal. I think the blinkers are going on, and Tommy Berry's booked. I think that's a big tick for him. He's a horse who, back to 1,500 metres now, I think they can use a little bit of his speed up early and sit a little bit closer.
He has to be closer, yeah.
He can't go back to last and round him up. I doubt it. Albeit, it's tend to be a high-pressure race where a couple of winners have come from off the speed. So as long as he's not worse than midfield, I think he's the winner here. But it's a phenomenal race. I know the Everest is probably the best that we've got in Sydney at the moment, but the Golden Eagle every year shapes a massive field, Gannon. But Kovalenka is my best all-in play of the weekend and the best bet there for the Golden Eagle.
Yep, got to be cautious of Oban Burumai, of course, because that Japanese horse is meant to be pretty good comparatively to what they brought over. I think their suggestion was like maybe like their version of a Group 2, which potentially is our version of a Group 1, right? So how good their horses are. So I watch on it, and I think the market will tell us how good that horse is. So I won't be backing it. I think you're spot on with Kovalika and Hawaii 5-0, and I'm definitely against Amelia's Jewel. So how am I going to play the race? Hawaii 5-0 on top, and I'll have a saver on Kovalika. But at the moment, like, they're not all in plays at $5 and $6. They're just not. So we'll just wait and see what the barriers do, and then we can stake accordingly when we get to the race and see what's going to happen there. Righto, fellas, there's a Giga Kick Stakes. There's a few others. I've got no opinion in their race. Obviously, think about $1.80, Private Eye 350. There's not much meat on the bone there. Do you have an opinion in that race or in any other races, Lewis?
No, I don't. Favourite too hard to beat. Good to see Cascadian back. Trial was good. Can touch on that more. It looks to be going well, the old boy. Age shall not weary them.
No, he's turned back the clock. His trial was phenomenal. I think he's prepped up and is going to be set for Hong Kong, if my memory serves me right. So, interesting to see where he's at, but obviously he gives away race fitness to both Private Eye, well, the whole field pretty much, because he's first up. But yeah, no real opinion outside of that for me. Any for you, Lou? No?
Nah, nothing.
Back to
Good
you,
stuff. Righto, fellas. So 32 acceptances left in the Melbourne Cup. That's just come out this morning. Have you got any thoughts on the Melbourne Cup early? I know, Dino, we touched on it this morning when we were on SEN doing the review. Have you got any thoughts on the Melbourne Cup? And then, Louis, if you've got any yourself.
Yeah, we spoke about weights being a massive issue, and we went through the sort of the list or the order of entry, and sort of the top 5 or 6 horses are sort of are really good horses. And outside of that, I think this year really drops away. There's none of those sort of 4-year-old Northern Hemisphere, horses that get in really well at the weights. I think it's a year that maybe only 1 or 2 horses have actually beaten the handicapper. I just think Without Fight's really well placed, like 4 far up. They've done everything right this prep. Yes, he's got to carry 56.5, but I think he's hard to beat, and obviously Vauban. I think the one that's got to drift in the market this far out is probably Gold Trips. If you like him, I think you'll get sort of $7 on race day, so just wait.
Yep, I think Without a Fight will start favourite. And I think it'll win the race, Dino. Louis, any thoughts?
Oh, if Without a Fight starts favourite, I'd be keen to back Vauban because I kind of share your confidence, but not on a different horse. I think Vauban should be too hard to beat this year. And, I'd love to start. And that's no knock on Without a Fight, who is obviously flying.
Yep.
Gee, if it was to usurp Vauban as favourite, butter up.
Yeah, well, yeah, hey, you do you. As the great Nick Kyrgios says.
The great.
Yeah, the great. Please. I'm just having a laugh there. Vauban, Louis, do you know anything about the horse? Just for the punters out there, if they're interested in backing it, do you know much about the horse? I've just got queries. There was so much made of last year about the internationals and how good and how strong they were going to be. I don't think they'd really turned up. different type this year, or is it just better horse than these?
No. Well, look, again, I'm no UK form expert, so I can't dive into the minutiae of how good it is. But I think each year a horse comes out from UK that basically they say shouldn't be beaten. Tiger Moth was one of them. Obviously, last year. Okay, yeah, they haven't won, but
they've run well.
They've run really well, and I think especially with Tiger Moth, I don't think it didn't win because it wasn't good enough. It just things didn't go to plan that day with the leader and the winner going the whole way. Do you know what I mean? So I think if good UK form analysts are saying Vauban's the one, eventually one of these is going to win. And I can't see why it won't be this year. Gold Trip, who is the second favourite, has to carry too much weight without a fight. Okay, that's an obvious one. And then you look at the next one in the market, it's Salcombe. It'll miss the start 100 lengths, and that's great. So you know what I mean? I just think, as you said off the top, Dino, the top 4 or 5 or 6 in there are good, and then it really starts to get a bit skinny. So I'm thinking this year, perhaps the year for the UK one to come over and win.
There you go, punters. The Melbourne Cup of 2023. Lewis Willoughby, how's it going back to the UK? Right, it's been good fun. Anything else to add? Anything for the Oaks? We'll be. I'll tell you what we'll be doing. We'll be doing a Melbourne Cup preview Sunday night. That'll be out Monday morning first thing. We'll also be doing an Oaks preview and a champion stakes and whatever. It's just called a stakes day. With one of the biggest Saturdays of racing you'll ever see. So that'll all be out Monday. Make sure you are subscribing to GoTipOff.com. If you want Dino's stuff, deanwatling.com. You want Louis' stuff, well, it's free. Sky Racing. Easy as that. Anything, Dad?
Gannon? Yes. Are we doing best all in play?
We can finish with best all in play, Lewis Willoughby.
Yes. Yep. It's an all-in show. I want one at an all-in price. So it's Shuffle Dancer for me in the Empire Rose at $26. Albeit, as you guys know, I'm already on Hope in Your Heart and Road to Arataki.
Oh, righto, mate.
That's just for clarity.
You've made this your best all-in play of the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Is it or not?
What, Shuffle Dancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay. But I'm just saying for clarity, if you see me on Twitter yipping and either of the other two are to win, then you know why.
The alligator bless tweets. That'll be the
whiz. Dino, can you steer the ship back on track?
I can steer the ship, and I'm going to take Louis on in the Empire Rose.
Ooh.
My best all in play is a tissue. A very close second would be Kovalika in the Golden Eagle. Gannon.
Yep, love it. Cat Foray. Clearly the best each way all-in play. So back at each way, Cat Foray is around $15. Absolute madness. Can't believe the price. It starts single figures. Righto, gents, it's been super. Make sure you are subscribing, commenting, get stuck in, have some fun as well. Keep it kind, of course. We're only here doing our best, and if our best isn't good enough, bad luck, but it was last week. Righto, thanks, boys.
See ya.
Thanks, legends.